very abrupt. I'm going to read a few poems. I was waiting for my wife to turn up, but she probably doesn't want to hear it anyway. My eyesight isn't as good as it was last time I was here. Oh. No. It's less light than there was 5 seconds ago. Can I have a bit more like it was?
Yeah.
I don't really not looking for atmosphere or ambience. I just want to see, and I like it when I can see the audience, because I like to know what you're all up to.
No good.
Yeah, but that's why we need light. we did a show because we were going to play this burger. If you're gradually turning this up, I'm gradually stepping away because I don't like hearing myself. So you don't need to do battle with me.
I'm turning the lights up.
All right. It feels like it's. You know, I don't like it. Believe it or not, I don't like hearing myself too much.
Turn your monitor down.
Oh, that's good. Monitors, Jesus. We don't even have monitors when we play gigs. So we played in Margate, which is a seaside town in Kent, North Kent, about 30 miles from where I live. We live 30 miles from London, which is the same area I was born in. And we're not cool, we never lived in London. Why don't we live in London? What fools? There is an answer to that. And it's got the silent thing going on, hasn't it? All right. And we played to a seated theatre, Victorian theatre, with the lights up, so you can see exactly what's going on. And I'm apparently the only person who likes playing seated venues and with lights up, because I want to know what everyone's up to. If asked for advice by anybody, my advice is know where the exit is. So like any venue I go to, I want to know the way out. Any job you go into, you want to know the way out. Any president you elect, you want to know the way out. And God knows what way out that is. I've got, actually, this is going to be more fun. Believe it or not, this is as good as it's going to get, so I'm sorry about that. But I've got, this is my question. I was speaking to my friend Trent yesterday, and I said, I was talking about the deep state, okay, the deep state. And you sort of like think, now, let's pretend that I voted for Trump, and I believe in the deep state, okay. Now, wouldn't I then sort of say, well, if there is a deep state, and I voted for this guy and he's doing these things, then he is part of the deep state, because otherwise he wouldn't be, because if there was a real deep state that he wasn't part of, he'd be dead. Because now I don't believe that Kennedy was shot by the CIA, because if the CIA was shooting everybody, that guy would be gone. So there's no deep state, or it is really deep, and they're so sophisticated they've even got Trump. Yeah, so you see, your deep state is you're lost.
Russians already got him anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, that might be a little bit above your heads, American politics. In England, we think about these type of things. We've got our own problems there.
I'll say.
Yeah. But you see, anyone who thinks we're idiots then has to look at themselves. We're all idiots together in this day and age. Okay, I'm going to read a few poems and we'll see how we get on. Now, at this point, I'll do a sales pitch. The reason I'm doing a sales pitch is because we've got a pile of crap out there that I can't take back to England. Now, we've made an LP with a few hundred copies of some of the live sort of sound that we do with the group, which is sort of a bootleg type record that we made specially pressed over here with a white label and hand stamped. They got that out there, and we got this new collection of selected poetry, a brand new book of poetry somewhere over there, and some t-shirts and some bits and bobs. And the reason I'm going to try and flog it is because we can't get it on the plane. But why not? Otherwise it's all for the skip. You know what a skip is?
Yeah. Dumpster.
A dumpster, if you will. So, has anyone been to a reading that I've done before?
No, this is my first time.
Your first time? Yeah. Well, you've got an excuse, haven't you? Because you have never been before. These other people who've been before, they should know better. See, I'm not experienced with glasses. This is a poem called The Names of Those I've Wished Dead. This is from the selected poetry. Today is the day to tell of my undisclosed desire for power, to mention that I've had sex with a dog and to utter the names of those I've wished dead. Today is the day of all the insects I've tortured, to open my cupped hands and let go the ants, the wasps, the flies. Today is the day of all the women I've loved badly, to open my delicate heart and speak of this fear, of women, of spiders and the night. Today is the day I breathe of my sorrow, hold myself in my arms with pity, and admit that others live, that they too must be free to set their own paths through hell. It hasn't always been easy. It's not picnic life always, is it? It's not always easy. This is called Ants, Moths and Picasso. This might be a bit highbrow because I'm an artist, not a poet. So if this goes above your heads, I'm sorry, but I'm a bright spark. As you know, I'm pretty versed on politics as well. I watched MNSBC. I know who Joe Scarborough is. I know what you lot are up to. I've been studying. My wife's American, so I want to know what's going on. They're trying to trick me into living in America. All right. So this is Ants, Moths and Picasso. Little ones, you have come to visit. You love to be near man and nest beneath warm concrete. Cracked paths are your favourite. You also walk up the sides of trees, your tiny feet stepping close to the powdery wings of moths. You carry your dead friends on your heads, and once I saw 5 of you dragging a dead spider under a broken paving slab to be eaten by your hungry clan. It is said that on seeing dazzled painted trucks driving through the streets of Paris during the Great War, Picasso pointed and exclaimed, "We, the Cubists, are responsible for that." He didn't mention moths or zebras at all. That's how we know he was full of himself. This is an award-winning poem. It's an award-winning poem, what can I say? And not only in my own estimation. This is an award-winning poem. Don't get specific. This won a commendation in the National Poetry Prize. And what I did in the old days, I used to send in the poems, and because I don't spell my stuff, I get them spelled up, put commas and full stops in, and use my family name, and it could sneak in to into the poetry prize. And I got commendation off this one, and they give 10 commendations and a winner. And I got a really crappy Mont Blanc Baro as a prize, handed to me by Roger McGough of the Mersey Beat poets. Don't know if you know the Mersey Beats. We have beats as well. You got your Ginsberg, we got the Liverpool lads. I don't know who's sadder. And if you want to see sadness, watch Scorsese's film Rolling Thunder. Now that is misery on wheels. There's not one person with a sense of humour. Patti Smith has totally blotted her copybook in my wife's estimation, talking complete gobbledygook. And Ginsberg is sort of lecturing children like he's a sort of college professor. It's fantastic, it's unwatchable. We did 20 minutes and we were just gobsmacked. And then you got Scorsese, because Scorsese, although he's made some decent movies in his distant past, he's sort of like what he's a star fucker, he likes anybody who's a pop star. So he's sort of creeping around this thing, and you got and it's sort of like cut together by a moron, much like the work he did on Woodstock. That's my review. And you see, you get the review for nothing. So where am I? Oh yeah, we were on awards, weren't we? Yes, awards. So commendation. Oh yeah, and Roger McGough gave me the pen. And Roger McGough, I met Roger McGough when I was about 18 and reading a group called the Midway Poets. And Roger McGough is sort of like Big Cheese in England, and sort of like did voiceovers for adverts and this type of thing. And we ran into him, and there's there's going to be an aside here, so another aside. We're going round the lake, and we might get back round to this side of it. So Roger McGough is an Englishman. Now Vincent van Gogh is a Dutchman, but his name is Gough, or Gough, right? It was never Vincent van Gogh, despite what Jonathan Richmond might think. And the irony of it is Vincent van Gogh, the reason all his paintings are signed Vincent is because he didn't want anyone to mutilate his name. And he writes it everywhere. I'm not going to use my surname because you'll mutilate it. Vincent van Gogh. Anyway, so Gough, we meet Vincent van Gogh, and as a 19-year-old, when I met him, I said, he's still got both his ears. And gasp. And Roger, being a beat poet, like many of your American beats as well, didn't actually have a sense of humour. So when Roger McGough had to give me my cheap Mont Blanc Biro for my award-winning poem, he was most disappointed that it was me, because he recognised me. And he was grinding his teeth as he handed over this Biro. And I went up to the Mont Blanc people afterwards who promoted the National Poetry Prize, and I said, how come I don't get a fountain pen? How come you're giving me a Biro? Because you know Mont Blanc are pretty up there. But it's a Biro, a Mont Blanc Biro. You know, you're not really an author with a Biro, are you? Okay. I've been holding that for a long time. Just needed to get that off my chest. So they let you in, did they, Wolf?
I've got to go in a minute.
See ya. So this is a sad donkey and a fat man smiling. Speaking as a man who doesn't eat cheese and who paddled into second place in the Kent Schools under 18 slalom 1975, 3 entrants only. Speaking as a man who doesn't own a television set, doesn't read daily papers and the radio remains clicked off. Speaking as a man with 12 fillings, 4 verrucas and 1 O-level art grade A Walderslade Secondary School for Boys 1976. Speaking as an artist of dubious merit and the writer of lewd verses. Speaking as a man who caught Paul Weller's plectrum thrown into the audience at Battersea Town Hall Jubilee Week 1977 support group The Boys. Speaking as a man who carved the reclining Admiral and Van Gogh without a moustache, apprentice stonemason, Her Majesty's Dockyard, Chatham 1976. Speaking as a man who wore second-hand shoes up until he was 33. Speaking as a man who tried to run down Johnny Rotten on the pavement outside the Roebuck Public House, Kings Road, London, 1978, drunk in charge of a push bike. Speaking as a man with eyes the shape of little fishes, the hands of my father and somebody else's legs, I see that truth only comes staggering up the mountainside like a sad donkey teetering under the weight of a fat man smiling. If that isn't worth a Mont Blanc bar, I don't know what is. Yes, at least the Barrow of that poem. This one's more on the Bic Barrow level. This is called The First Green Horse God Has Made. and it's dedicated to the little boy sitting on the stage. Driving towards a pink sky, we pull into the petrol station. I check the oil and buy £12 worth of petrol on account that you can only fill the tank up halfway because of a leak. Huddy sits in the car with my wife Julie and I go in and pay. Climbing back in, Huddy tells me, "I saw a green horse running, Papa." "A green one, really? Now they're unusual." "It was wearing a green coat," explains Julie. Huddy shakes his head. "No, it wasn't, it was green. It must be the first green horse God has ever made." I'm just going to have a little swig. Did Julian Scout here? Well, ah. To get all the swear words in before a scout turns up. I've got a 9-year-old daughter. She heard me. I rang up Julie before we came on Skype or whatever it's called, FaceTime, and I was talking to Julie. She was at her sister's, and I was swearing about something at home, and of course Scout was off camera because my children don't hear me swear, even though I swear a lot. And she came on. She was pleased as punch because she heard me swear. Yeah, Johnny, who's here, my friend Johnny, he heard her say shit today and she was really pleased with that. He doesn't have children, he doesn't know about these things. It's called Chatham Town Welcomes Desperate Men. Chatham Town is my hometown. Welcome the night watchman, the floor polisher, the dole queue boy and the policeman in the rain. Welcome the salesman who never sells, the dentist who hates teeth, the docker without a dock, and the robber of car hubcaps. Welcome lovers who cannot love, lickers of bright green lollies, motherless children, and the smashers of car wing mirrors. Welcome acne, toothache, kebab shop owners, used car salesmen, and the buyers of second-hand fridges. Welcome the sailor from a faraway land and try not to punch him in the nose. Welcome pimps, prostitutes, and a smiling dose of the clap. Welcome lager drinkers with tattooed fists and the bare-knuckle fighters of Kent, Ireland, Romany and beyond. Welcome the uneducated and the lost. Welcome the teachers too scared to teach. Welcome office workers, wild three-legged dogs and the smiling of hell. Welcome cigarette smokers, hash smokers, pen pushers, stolen car drivers, garage attendants, shelf stackers, shelf haters, heroin users and girls in white calf-length boots. Welcome the men of middle management, their bored housewives and alcoholic children in private schools. Welcome till girls with love bites. Welcome grey skies and icy winds. Welcome magpies and crows. Welcome con men and the conned, and children with flick knives. Welcome men in envy, town planners, councillors of little faith, old ladies in faded blue coats. Welcome estate agents bearing false gifts and dressed in fake pinstripe suits. Welcome the owners of lawns, car showrooms, impossible mortgages and bank managers who can no longer manage. Welcome the indebted and the owners of naught. Welcome one-eyed cats and panthers in the night. Welcome circus tricksters, casual labourers and crawling curb crawlers. Welcome liars, cheats and fornicators. Welcome poets smiling through their teeth. Welcome dead novelists and sunken battleships. Welcome men in blazers from Nepal. From the tax office of Limehouse Reach to the dole queue of the brook, Chatham Town welcomes desperate men. It loves you all and it honours you all. I thought that one might sort of come down well in Oakland. You know, I think you might relate to that one because I like to pitch things in at the right level. Hello, Scout. I don't want you getting too interested. Let me see, I'll give you warnings. Because it's a funny thing, I'm actually quite shy private person as well, and I sort of like, because I do readings and I tell people about explicit things about myself that I find embarrassing and wouldn't normally do in public, or because when I'm here, it's nothing to do with who I am. It's quite strange, it's not my thing. You probably get the idea that I don't hold musicians or poets or artists in very high regard, quite the opposite. I think my wife Julie's pleased because our drummer turned up. Mr. Trump allowed him in. Okay. Perhaps in a minute. I'm going to do a little bit of music, Juju. I'm going to do a bit of music in a bit. I'm only going to read a few more. Well, it's up to you. Yeah, I know. Because I worked in Chatham Dockyard when I was 16, and all the old boys there, like I worked with people who fought during the last war, basically, and the 50s, and everyone in the dockyard actually in Chatham is a Royal Naval dockyard, and it was really rough language and really hard, but none of those people swore in front of women or when they were outside of the dockyard. So there's this funny code that went on, which I vaguely picked up. I'm the wrong generation, but it's good though. This is pure as spring water. She was lying in bed, the sheets hot and wet with our bodies, the sunlight coming in, some birds singing. I am as pure as the purest spring water, and as I speak I can feel it's true, my mind a fine edge, undirted as a child's. You aren't pure, you're full of diseases. And she goes to hit me. I hold her arms back and roll my weight onto her. She struggles and I laugh. I laugh in her face and she spits at me. You make me sick. I told you I didn't want you to bring me anything back from Germany, but you brought me girlfriends and gonorrhea. I look down into her twisted mouth, but nothing can spoil my mood. I can't feel anger. I can only laugh, pure peals of laughter, pure as the purest spring water. I might add that, this is like, some of this stuff is, when you get to my age, you've lived several lives, and some of this is quite ancient. Does anyone know the, no one's recording this, are they? I know they tell you who the person was. This is called Thumbprint. I wore an American sailor's cap and cupped my hands to my snaggled teeth as I grinned in this photo he clicked. A 9-year-old kid handled by this 40-year-old man's hand. His unkind grasp and fake friendliness still walk in my sleep. His thumbprint indelible upon my child's spine. And I would like to ask but one question of you, father, of you, mother. Where were you, my brave protectors? And I see you kissing in other people's arms, in cheap bars, oblivious, loving only your own pain. I just noticed that Brave Protector there, that's what we called that album, because there's a song on it called Brave Protector, I think. Because sometimes the, again, a reference to my age, when you get a certain way along, you're running out of ideas, aren't you? You're recycling crap. So what happened is I just decided to write a song called Brave Protector.
Did it
Something-
inspire the poem?
No, the poem's a million years old. That's it. I'm showing you that. It's the other way around. I don't usually get poetry involved in music because all of these musicians think they're poets, don't they? It's quite sad. Which brings us back to Rolling Thunder. There's not one person laughing in there in that film. Not one person's like saying, maybe we're mental. This is a big soft dog of a poet. I'm no hard man, I'm a big soft dog of a poet, desperate for people to like me. A damaged, broken dog of a poet, a half-man pierced by arrows. More sensitive than a schoolgirl, more prone to upsets, alive with vengeances, more dangerous than a wounded wolf, telling tales on self and others, then whining for mercy. An angry chimp of a poet, raging through the jungle, hanging upside down, thirsty for monkey brains. A lying, thieving rat of a poet, who hates poetry, who will not be a poet for you, for your mother, your lover, or anyone. A lovable kitten of a poet, tigerish and selfish, whose verses are as harmless as milk. An ant of a poet, acid-mouthed and creeping, the type of charlatan who will deny he's wearing a hat whilst wearing a hat. Don't think I'll read that one. You're not missing anything. Right, I'll start doing a couple of songs, because there's a song here that's an a cappella piece, and then I'll do a few more poems, then I'll probably play one or two on the guitar if I can remember. Yeah, you see, that's the way it is, isn't it? That's what people want, relief. But I tell you, it's not going to be relief. This will be the record you put on to clear the party when we go to bed. All right. This is called The Bitter Cup. And I remember the breath of my father, his kisses were bearded and damp. The romance of the bottle dragging him down to awaken dishevelled in the tank. And there's no sea deeper than the piss of the bottle, and none speaks the truth like the drunk. Whiskey runs through me like a sorrowful river. I'm down on my knees and I'm sunk. I remember my mother hitting the gin. She fell and we thought she was dead. Naked and dull-like, his skull face was shouting. We ran to our room painted red. There's no sea deeper than the piss of the bottle, and none speaks the truth like the drunk. Whiskey runs through me like a sorrowful river. I'm down on my knees and I'm sunk. Hot for women, we curse and abuse them. They say we ain't got no respect. Full of bravado, godless and fearful, we pray no one will detect. And there's no taste sweeter than the rush of hot vomit sipped through decaying back teeth. I whisper I love you and quit all this hating, but in truth I ain't got the belief. Smashed and dishevelled, of course they did wreck us, poisoned by our own bitter cup. Stumbling and hoping, inside I was lonely. I'm sick and I'm down and I'm drunk. There's no sea deeper than the piss of the bottle, and none speaks the truth like the drunk. Whiskey runs through me like a sorrowful river. I'm down on my knees and I'm sunk. Anyone here read Hunger by Knut Hampson? 1 man, 2 man, 3 man, 4 man. Yeah. It's a good book to read. That's okay, don't worry. That's what kids do. Hunger by Knut Hampson, very good book.
So
This will be meaningless to you. It's called I'm the Strange Hero of Hunger. My girlfriend lives on the other side of the world and has started reading Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Do you recognise the main character? I asked her excitedly. Doesn't he remind you of me? I've only just begun, she answers. What's his name? Roger. But all the characters have about 3 different names. I always get confused and can't tell who's who because I'm dyslexic and don't make sounds for the names. But Roger's for short and his sister's name is Dunya. Isn't Dunya a beautiful name? If little Huddy had been born a girl, we'd have named her Dunya. When I talk of the beauty of girls' names or the strange bravery of artists, or see the light changing over sea and sky, every second impossible showers of gold turn into terrible hues of purple and black, and my heart rate quickens because I'm amongst my own people. I'm the hero of all of my favourite novels. I live in them and they live in me. I'm Arturo Bandini on Angel's Flight, swearing at a beautiful dark-haired girl in tattered shoes. I'm Roger, guilty of a terrible and senseless murder on the streets of St. Petersburg. I'm the strange hero of hunger, starving to spite myself in Christiana. I'm Jon Nagel, tormentor of the midget and suicide. I'm Ishmael, knocker off of tall hats. I'm every novelist and every character ever dreamed. I'm every one of my favourite artists, and I feel myself not one jot less, but equal to all of them. Turner, Munch, Holbein and Hokusai. Naturally I have no heroes. I am my heroes. I am my brothers and sisters. I feel myself joined by the soul with all beauty. My heart sings with every brave endeavour, with the strange wings of impossible butterflies, with every rock that breathes life into the world. I stand shoulder to shoulder with all denouncers of meanness. I honour spirit and faith, and I uphold the glorious amateur. I'm in love with desperate men with desperate hands, walking in second-hand shoes, searching for God and hearing God and hating God. I'm a desperate man buckled with fear. I'm a desperate man who demands to be listened to, who demands to connect. I'm a desperate man who denounces the dullness of money and status. I'm a desperate man who will not bow down to accolade or success. I'm a desperate man who loves the simplicity of painting and hates galleries and white walls and the dealers in art, who loves unreasonableness and hot-headedness, who loves contradiction, hates publishing houses, and also I'm Vincent van Gogh, Hiroshige, and every living artist who dares to draw God on this planet. I'll just read a couple when I do a couple of tunes. This is dead funny. I'm a thorn in the side of the establishment. My success annoys everyone to the extent that even I pretend not to be successful. My adolescent concerns are the bore of the town. My friends hiss at me and ex-lovers wish me dead. Honestly, even my own mother can't bear to read my texts. It seems I've painted a lot of shit, so much so that I meet complete strangers who presume that I swim in it with glee. And with every poem I write, my fame grows. Another nail in my coffin. People feel embarrassed for me. Everything I utter becomes a cliche. When, oh when, the people ask, will Billy shut up? Right, I'll read this last. Oh, is it? What's that? I've got something else lurking there. As Billy Childish can't paint, there will be an exhibition of new paintings by Billy Childish, followed by a master class in creativity by Britain's worst artist. Applicants must hate art, despise poetry, but have an otherwise cheery disposition. No music permitted. That's my advert. Okay. This is another sort of like, this is a bit like Bo Diddley, you know, just singing their own name everywhere. This is called The Billy Childish. I'm Billy Childish, ex-drunk and compulsive masturbator, late night vomiter of good liquor, kisser of purple-lipped women, writer of poems celebrating the emptiness of my love, poems hungering for the moment of my passion, wishing it could always be so, to never let my cock fall. I'm Billy Childish, ex-strongman and two-bit lover, late night namer of names, corrupter of the literate, writer of poems that dare to dream to pass down the centuries and touch the hearts of the yet-to-be-born. wishing to hold them to my arms and kiss them all. I'm Billy Childish, ex-poet and failed suicide, late night vomiter of truth and lies, kisser of the arses of girls like the stars of God, writer of poems to lick the thighs of the dead, for ex-lovers to denounce and teachers to hate, wishing to paint my life and to never let my voice quieten. I'll do a couple of songs. Don't know how this is going to really pan out. You know, I don't do this sort of thing. I did a reading in Margate, like where I did the exhibition I told you about. Is Wolf there? Is he cleared off? Doesn't matter. I've just thought you might like this story because he'd enjoy it. It was about Maria getting. So the last reading I did was a very small place, and Maria, who was a girl I knew back in the day, who was at school with an old girlfriend of mine when they were little, and she turned up, and it was not much bigger than this room, but seated, called the Tom Thumb Theatre, and she was. My friend said to my old ex-girlfriend said to me, "Oh well, 2 years ago, she said, oh, Maria's been done for attempted murder." I said, "Oh, what did she do?" And she, her boyfriend was painting up in the top room, and she went upstairs and plunged a knife into his back. So I thought, all right, okay. And then we did the reading, and Maria was there. So I thought, well, obviously they decided that it was okay that she did that. And she was loud and drunk, and I couldn't tell whether she was just sort of like really intoxicated or whether she'd really gone off the rails. And she was shouting all the way through the reading, so it wasn't quite like this. It'd be like if we had, you've got your toddler there making occasional noises. This person was shouting full belt every few minutes, and then talking to me and arguing about stuff. And I got quite, and then I got angry actually with some people at the end who were quite rude to me. And then we were trying to leave, and we went out, and Maria refused to leave the theatre. And the owner put the little reading on, because this is the first reading 2 weeks ago I've done in 10, 15 years, because I won't do them. And he came outside, he said, "Oh, can you go and get this girl out of there? We can't get her out." I said, "I'm not getting her out. It's your job." You know, they could have thrown her out during the reading, it would be a good idea. They haven't done that. So anyway, we were outside, and I was with my son Huddy and my friend, and I said, and I saw Maria coming, and she'd been shouting at me anyway. I said, "Quick, get in the car," and I ducked. Got in the car, and we sped off. And we spoke to some other people who stayed at the reading, and she then tried to strangle the person who was running the theatre, this lady, and someone tried to pull her off, so she punched them. So then the police came, and they put her in a car, and then she punched the policeman. And it was a sort of disaster. I suppose someone was filming this thing of me doing the reading, and I said, you know, like, you really made an error. If you could just done a documentary based around what happened around this reading, it would be gold. I mean, Rolling Thunder would be sort of like
Just like Tom Thumb's Blues, maybe.
Yeah, Tom Thumb's Blues even. Are you there? Anyway, that doesn't mean anything to you. The only reason I was going to tell that story because Wolf knows who Maria is and Wolf's there. Right, let me have a look. I'm going to put this on here because this is Trent's 1930s amplifier. So we'll see if we pick up a bit of that. That'll do. What you could do, if you could all just quietly file out as I do this. Right. We just look down and sort of like shuffle out. You know, with sort of like not loud disappointment, quiet disappointment. You see, you think I'm joking. That's what's so charming about it. I give you all the warnings. My catchphrase when I used to do readings in the old days, I always did a reading and I always said, you paid to come in here, so shut up. It's your own fault. You know, I personally wouldn't go to a poetry reading. You have. Now suck it up.
I wouldn't go to a gig either. What's that like? Is there anything on that?
It sort of turned itself down.
Is that sort of stopped working now? That's it. That's this is the 1930s. No one said. You're going to hear that, all right, do you reckon? We'll find out.
It's okay. Trent's the technician. Well, that's not going to help at all. I still like the thinner one. Do you like the fatter one?
It's true, it doesn't matter, and there's never a truer word spoken. You know I love you, baby. Please don't go. You know I love you, baby. Please don't go. Well, you know I love you, honey child. There ain't nothing I wouldn't do for you right now. You know I love you, baby. Please don't go. You know I need you, baby. Please don't go. You know I need you, baby. Please don't go. You know I need you, honey child. There ain't nothing I wouldn't do for you right now. You know I need you, baby. Please don't go. Death don't show no mercy in this land. Death don't show no mercy in this land. Well, you know I love you, honey child. There ain't nothing I wouldn't do for you right now. You know I love you, baby. Please don't go. You know I love you, baby. Please don't go. You know I love you, baby. Please don't go. Of mine, you ruin my nice rest, child. You know you ruin my peace of mind. You know you ruin everything when you don't keep your man in mind. Did I hear you right? You said, oh, my loving no more. Did I hear you right? You said I'm not loving no more. Well, you leave the world now, child, like you did 1,000 times before. You gotta treat me kind. bury many more of my kind. I got a hat I could have used in this situation today. Got myself a hat, but could be wearing that at work right now. I'm going to try and do this. My voice is a bit cracked, you probably noticed. But there's no problem because you only got to do 2 shows. Poor pal. See if we can come all you cowboys. Come all you cowboys, don't you wanna go? Come all you cowboys, don't you wanna go to see the Lone Ranger riding the range of buffalo? The hardest battle was ever on the western plains. The hardest battle was ever on the western plains. When me and a bunch of cowboys ran into Jesse James. When me and a bunch of cowboys ran into Jesse James. When me and a bunch of cowboys ran into Jesse James. The bullets were falling just like a shower of rain. The hardest battle was ever on the Bunker Hill. The hardest battle was ever on the Bunker Hill. When me and a bunch of cowboys ran into Buffalo Bill. If your house catch a fire and there ain't no water around. If your house catch a fire and there ain't no water around. Throw your jelly out the window, let the doggone shack fall down. Throw your jelly out the window, let the doggone shack burn down. I can do John the Revelator. Used to do that in the old days. Oh yeah, we did all that rubbish. That's where you know, we used to do all of this crap. When we used to do this stuff, we used to do these head coach shows, and we'd do old things by Sun House and all of these things thrown in, and that's why we were considered retards. And it was only until Beck and Jack White came along that people realised it's a smart thing. Yeah, they just felt sorry for us guys. I've done another reading with my flies undone.
I was gonna mention that.
It used to be, it's like ready for action. But the amount of times I've done readings with my flies undone, Jesus. I think it's so like, you know, it must be like those guys who wear their trousers around their knees because they, you know, it's cool, isn't it? Next thing's going to be having your flies undone. You watch out for Beck and Jack White, they'll be coming on here. It's cool having your flies undone. Well, tell me who's there riding? John the Revelator. Who's there riding? John the Revelator. Who's there riding? John the Revelator wrote the book of the 7 seals. Well, God came down in the cool of the day and called Adam by his name. But he would not answer him, curly naked and ashamed. Now tell me, who's there riding? John the Revelator. Who's there riding? John the Revelator. Who's there riding? John the Revelator wrote the book of the 7 seals. Now Christ had 12 apostles, and 3 of them led the way. He said, watch with me for just 1 hour. I want to go yawn and pray. Now tell me, who's there riding? John the Revelator. Who's that right? John the Revelator. Who's that right? John the Revelator wrote the book of the seven seals. Jesus arose one Sunday morn, Mary and Mark to see. He said, go meet my apostles down in Galilee. And now tell me, who's that right? John the Revelator. Who's that right? John the Revelator. Who's that right? John the Revelator wrote the book of the seven seals. Now tell me, who's that right? And John the Revelator. Who's that right? And John the Revelator. Who's that right? And John the Revelator wrote the book of the seven seals. That was sort of like, with that type of stuff, I always sort of like thought with the blues music, one of the things that always stuck with me, because I was a little boy, I was brought up listening to Jimi Hendrix, and then I heard him talking about Muddy Waters and people like that. So after punk rock, we sort of descended back into looking at the old stuff, because in like after '78, I didn't really like the punk rock much stuff. And Muddy Waters said, if you can't sing that without God, blues music, and that's something that a lot of those British white groups could have thought of.
Oh, I had step out of here somewhere.
Step out of your dress, little girl. Step out of your dress into my world. Step out of your dress, step up to me. Step out of your dress, hold on to me. Step out. Step out. Step out of your shoes, little girl. Step out of your shoes into my world. Step out of your dress, step up to me. Step out of your dress, hold on to me. Step out. Step out. Step out. Step into my life, little girl. Step into my life, into my world. Step out of your dress, step up to me. Step out of your dress, hold on to me. Step out. Step out. Step out. Step out. Step out. Step out. Could do grinning in your face and you make me die if I can remember it. Don't think I've got those there. I'll do A to Z and then maybe you make me die. Don't know if we need grinning in your face, do we? Don't you mind people grinning in your face? Could do it. Well, don't you mind people grinning in your face? Well, don't you mind people grinning in your face? Well, bear this in mind, a true friend is hard to find. Well, don't you mind people grinning in your face? Well, don't you mind people grinning in your face? Your sister will talk about you, your brother and your mother too. I don't care how you're trying to live, they'll talk about you still. So bear this in mind, a true friend is hard to find. Oh, don't you mind people grinning in your face? Well, don't you mind people grinning in your face? Well, they'll rough you up and down, they'll turn you round and around. Just as soon as your back is turned, they'll be trying to do you down. So bear this in mind, a true friend is hard to find. Well, don't you mind people grinning in your face? Well, don't you mind people grinning in your face, in your face? A to Z of your heart, you said we'd never have to part. I feel your finger. Oh shit! I can't keep this on going. Sorry, I'm too shaky. I did that live on. Did it in a live session on the BBC, and the same thing happened.
It's now perfect.
Hold on. I feel sort of nervous. I'll see if I can do it. Because I have to keep this going all the time, you see. I'm not really a guitarist. A to Z of your heart, you said we'd never have to part. I feel your fingertips, your thumbs pressed to my eyes. I'm glad she's sad, this day's gleaming like a gun. I need to drop this need, to look to my feet as they pick up and run. I'm glued to my seat, I've seen it all and this is the repeat. I'll laugh, you'll cry, there's a toffee wrapper stuck to my shoe. It's money in the bank, I nod like a stupid sod. You go far, you go slow, I'll talk to him who I never did know. There's a man in the window, he's got both his hands in his pockets. I haven't shaved, that's his wife. The curtains have a floral effect. You put your hands to your hips, you say you're a man and I'm a woman. The carpet's brown, the day is light, you put out your cigarette. I'm not gonna make any more excuses. Then I'm going to do one more, which is You Make Me Die, which hopefully I know the lyrics to this one. I should know this backwards, I haven't got them written down. I'm quite dyslexic and get quite confused. But you know, that's part of the fun of it. Well, there's a feeling in this world that causes unrest. Your ambition and success is what I detest. I try to be true, I'm trying my best, and I'm seduced by your cheap love. Hatred's a mess. Whoa, you made me die. I heard all you gotta say, I heard it in school, about your soft sex and your sickly drool. You only care for yourself, you're like all the rest. You love your filthy God and think you're the best. Whoa, you made me die. TV's videos, money and vice will get you crawling on the floor like a sucking lice. You'll swallow seed before you'll take advice. Well, someone should have told you, girl, that ain't very nice. Whoa, you made me die. Whoa, you made me die. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Why are you on like record?